Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. I know that it does not mean that I'll be exonerated from keeping to time. The fact that the chairperson has spoken so nicely about me right now means nothing insofar as time management is concerned. I'll have him in the back of my mind. Mr. President, let me just give me a privilege to say, Comrade President. Leadership, I heard that there were many leaders. There are many leaders who are here, including youth leadership. And I will then please allow me to say, in the interest of time as well, all protocol observed. So thanks very much. I didn't know where you are. I just didn't see you anymore at the Public Works. I have, Chairperson, I have to say this, that since I met leadership of BBCBE, I've been working very closely with this leadership, and I'm privileged for that. And with the energetic Greg. This morning I was in a lift, and then it opened. I was going up. Then I saw Greg with all the energy. I said, no, guys, this is the person I'm going to. That's how I didn't get lost there. You are in the built environment. I thought I would see Thandi here, Thandi Ndlovu. Thandi once helped me when I was MEC for housing in the Eastern Cape. And Muteo was building houses for us in Utenay. And there were former soldiers of Mkondo Wesizwe who were constructing those houses. And they decided to form a union, and they were demanding transport, those who stayed in PE to be taken in the morning to from PE to this site and back and so on. So we called the owner. They didn't know who owned the company. And Thandi arrived. Then when Thandi walked in there, they just all stood up and in attention. And then we said, comrades, this is the owner of the company. We thought we should bring her here. He said, then they saluted her, and that was the end of the problems. So, Chair, I'm going to leave this with you, but I just want to speak to it. I won't read it. Some of us have been part of the discussions when we spoke about turning South Africa into a construction site. That's an opportunity for you. That's why I wrote it a while ago, but I thought I must bring it here. South Africa continues after so many years. This is the 25th year now of us in government, the liberation movement governing South Africa, on a cart of transformation. But there's one thing that's still beating us, is destroying the social construct of apartheid. And this is the greatest opportunity. We're saying this thing all the time, and don't stop it. I will say it all the time. I'm happy to be here to say it to you who are involved in this industry. There's so many people, youngsters in South Africa, who are unemployed, who do not have the skills. Just remember let me remind you what Joe Slovo said when he was the first Minister of Housing, before we turned it into human settlements. Because human settlements actually is appropriate to dealing with the issues that we are going to be engaged with here. Human settlements as a concept. Joe Slovo said, Our ascension to power is constitutional revolution. Some people don't remember this. Now, when he said that it's constitutional revolution, and then he came up with, as a demonstration of this, constitutional revolution. He came up with what was called a core house, if you remember. The late Comrade Steve Chwete called it Uvezinyao, because it was small. But it was deliberate. It was giving practical meaning to the concept, constitutional revolution, from Slovo's point of view. Because Slovo assumed that amongst the things that we would do as a democratic government, all of us, including those who are outside government, because you determine who goes to government. All of us, Slovo assumed that the democratic government, amongst other things which have been a priority, just remember the RDP, the Reconstruction and Development Program, spoke to this. So Slovo, assuming that that is what would have driven the thinking and the implementation of policy, he said, I assume that the democratic government will train a lot of young people, particularly in technical skills and artisanal skills. We'll train them. Secondly, we'll create a lot of jobs. And those young people would have been trained with themselves, create a lot of jobs. And because they would have the skills, they would have the money, because they would be employed and employable. They would then build a house, expand this core house, and build it and redesign it to their own flavor and choice. That was the assumption of Joe Slovo at the time. But 25 years now, we continue to have two worlds in South Africa. One world, if you just look sometimes at pictures which I took, pictures here in this you'll see. In some instances, only a street separates the first world South Africa from the third world South Africa. Only a street separates the two. If you look at square meters in South Africa, square meters, and say if you calculate in terms of square meters, you will find that in fact the black people in South Africa own more land. Because of they are squashed together. They are just like this. But you look at the suburbs that are leafy and green out there, they are scattered all over, far and apart, and so on. And therefore, fewer people per hectare. Fewer people per hectare in the leafy, rich areas of South Africa. South Africa's first world. In the third world, they're squashed together. So this is something that I'm talking to you, I'm talking to BBCBE now. I'm instigating you even. Because you have to think that way in terms of revolution, from Slovo's point of view, constitutional revolution. So, I thought that I should do that. Chair, because you can look at this. Look at when fire, just one shack catches fire, and look at the disaster that goes with that. So it's because we have not destroyed the social construct of apartheid, or perhaps social geoconstruct of apartheid. The day we did that, South Africa will never be the same after that. Just now we're reading all the time. We're reading all the time about the Vaal River system, polluted. The other day, when I was appointed, I went to see the RBS port in the northwest. And I found these hyacinths just floating all over. When the wind is going that direction, it goes that direction. When the wind goes the other direction, because it's floating. It's because of pollution. Doesn't matter what you do there. But if you don't transform the social conditions of the people in the townships of Joburg and Pretoria, you're just playing. Nothing is going to change down there. Even what now we're talking about now, I've been going to Citibank, to Sibukeng, to see the Citibank River, regional sewer scheme, the biggest in Africa. And it's actually being expanded now, they're expanding the capacity there. That's where the majority of the greatest cause of the pollution comes from. So, it is because it can't help it. What is the feeder of that? It is the townships in Johannesburg and Pretoria. And the river system, you've got these 5 small rivers that they end up with the crocodile that goes to RTBS Port Dam in Northwest. Until, therefore, we reconstruct, and actually destroy the social construct of apartheid and transform the conditions of living of our people, it's not going to change. It's going to get worse. When they show every day, they show these rivers, they show everything. But what is not shown is what are the conditions of our people that are causing that pollution there. Some of the resorts are threatening to close down. It means that the president is calling for investors to come to South Africa and invest. But the biggest threat is the Vaal River system. Because you're talking about 12 million people that are actually dependent on that water. And you're talking about the greatest in South Africa, the biggest in economy, the hub of the economy of South Africa. It talks to the same issue, destroying the social construct of apartheid. So that our people do have decent houses, they've got clean water, they're flushing toilets. So that they don't throw things in the stream. They don't throw sewer in the stream because they don't have toilets. The same with rural areas. So turning South Africa into a construction site creates the biggest economic opportunity for black people in South Africa, both socially and economically. Economically for you, because you are in the construction industry, you'd actually have jobs. People who have jobs. You'd create jobs for our people. Exactly what Slovo had meant. That is what is here. Thirdly, institutional. South Africa is part of the BRICS companies. Countries, sorry. BRICS countries. Amongst them, there's China. China has done something which I know that some people who are Marxists here, we are all, masquerading at one point as socialists and with long beard and long hairs and so on. I mean, when I look at myself in the mirror when I was an activist, I think, hey, I'm different, man. I look at my colleagues. I even heard the president saying the other day, because there was this talk about Mama Sulu, and we were going to have people must wear wigs or whatever. He said, oh, I'll have to go back to mine. I used to have one. He's right. You remember when he was actually looking after President Mandela when he was released? He had this, he's got this thing and this got to, he was walking there like, all of us were like that. Of course, when we were like that, we thought that China was revisionist. When it didn't introduce itself. Hungary did that, Yugoslavia did that before it. In the 50s, Hungary, socialist market economy. To embrace capitalist system, but give it a different meaning in terms of the conditions of its own country. China did that. China did that. As a result, China has got agricultural bank. Here we've got land bank. The Boers did it, by the way. Nationalist Party did that very well. That's why today you have very few poor whites. When they dealt with the poor white problem, it's exactly what government did. Intervened. Fearlessly and brutally even. Brutally even. That's what we need. So we need to have our own construction bank as a government, so that we make sure that emerging construction companies like yours can actually go to the bank and source money from the bank. A state-owned construction bank. But South Africa, again, where I got into this department, something I didn't know, Chair. I didn't know that there is a construction unit there that built the dams during apartheid. It's there. It employs 2,900 and something people, and they're getting paid every day, and they're doing nothing. Let me repeat, Mzi. I see you are shocked. You see, he was busy with something, but when he heard this thing, he just... There is a construction unit in water and sanitation that built all the dams during apartheid. It employs 2,900 and something, I think 60-something people today. They're doing nothing. When I was employed then, President deployed me there in February, they were on strike. Now, anyhow went on strike. I think they were, because this is a new minister, they went on strike. Amongst other things, they wanted a bonus for the workers. And then when the department said, no, we can't give you, you're doing nothing, they said, it's your fault. You pulled us out of construction sites. It's your fault. They've got everything, including a manufacturing plant in Northern Cape. Everything. Now, how do you then restructure that, recondition that? I asked the chiefs here to help me with that. They're busy with that. The leadership. They're busy with that. I can't do it myself. I don't know how to do it. But I've said in Parliament, I want a state-controlled construction company, which control meaning 51%, and then 30% set aside and 19% direct private investment. Now I don't know how to conceptualize that. I know what it is. Here's the chief I didn't see here. So I want that, because I want us to use that opportunity and make sure that construction companies like yours, BE, we can then, when we say we're going to construct something, we know that there's 49% that's floating there. 30% set aside and 19% direct investment. You can play into the space, but I don't know how to conceptualize that. You have to do it for me. And I'm looking forward to the day when that is presented. Lastly, VRP. I'm looking at my watch as well. I don't want to go beyond 7 minutes. VRP. Together, again, remember that it was BBC, particularly BBCBE, that was leading this whole thing about VRP. And when it was done, I know that there were some things that we could have done better, press. But you still are patient about it. Please continue to be patient about things. What is funny about these companies we were involved with is that I keep reading in the media that either they're going down under, or they're going through very, very serious problems. I want to know, what is the problem? because they used to be smart, very good companies. Now, the other day, when I went home to the Eastern Cape, I was driving from Port Elizabeth Airport, and I saw Avengers building a big, what do you call this thing? What is that? What is that? They're building a huge structure. Now, next thing I read in the media that they are in trouble. I'm wondering how could they have built that big structure? They're finishing it off now. And right opposite, you have got this huge one built by the Chinese. So they are there, but they are in trouble. They are one of those companies. And there's another one, what's Bezel Reed. Again, they're saying Bezel Reed is in deep trouble. They went to Minister Patel and they said this to Minister Patel. And then they said they are owed money by TCTA, and I went to TCTA, hey, is that true? They said, no, we don't owe them money. We have asked them to give us to give us the invoice, and then they haven't done that up to now. So what's the problem with these companies which were involved in that deal? Is it deliberate? So these are things that, in my view, if we work closer together and we looked at the social conditions, it's a low-hanging fruit. And that's where companies like BBCBE can fit in and actually provide leadership. So that in the next 25 years, most of the people sitting here in front of us, the companies here, become the giants of construction industry in South Africa. Thank you, Chair, very much. Thank you for the invitation and listening to this.